Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Long time no video. Well, it's kind of procrastinating, a lot of difficult things going on in the world, and I kind of took a hiatus last March, so I decided, you know what, may as well keep it a tradition. We'll take a break this March, but we're back. And so the next thing we're talking about here is we're doing a Q1 update of furry convention attendance things and items. A lot of furry conventions are starting up again. Keep an eye out for furry conventions in a year. We have a news article on Furry.com, which has been keeping up with it. Luckily, after some early on issues in the beginning of the year, after a massive spike in COVID during the January using the Omicron variant, there has been it has dissipated quite rapidly, as rapidly as it had come in. So we're hoping and keeping hope that the amount of spread and the amount of people who are hospitalized and things like that remain small. The convention attendance thing can be found here. Some updates to this has been that Harvest Moon has decided to postpone their event until 2023. They haven't even had their premiere year yet. So I think that they're taking this opportunity to kind of really make sure that things have dissipated and that people can fully focus on the convention attendance itself. From my understanding, one of the people who are on the board of Harvest Moon is Chase, who is a well-known furry who is actually a scientist who deals with vaccines. So they're kind of busy. You think Kagi's busy with science? Shit, nothing on that lady over there. That lady's going crazy, right? So I think that that's part of the reason why they're taking the postponement. Interestingly, it's not exactly because they're forced to because of coronavirus. October hopefully will be fine. But obviously, if Chase is on the board, she's got a lot of work to do still, right? To make sure that things are going okay with vaccine developments. That's just my guess, though, on that. We see that we had a bunch of past events go by that were postponed or canceled until 2023. Nordic BuzzCon, Fur Code NZ, and Further Confusion are all postponed. At this point, if you have any more information on any that are postponed or upcoming events that are canceled or past events that canceled this year, let us know so that we can add it to this list and keep a comprehensive list this year. If you go to Flara.com, it is at the top of the webpage. We keep it there just in case. Hopefully this will be the last year we have to keep that up on the top there. Here's hoping. But in lieu of that, a very important message is coming out of furries who have attended Texas Furry Fiesta and Vernal Equinox in Toronto. Texas Furry Fiesta takes place in Texas, obviously. We're getting a lot of messages from individuals who have attended Vernal Equinox and Texas Furry Fiesta. And what you can see on your screen right now is an example of one from Texas Furry Fiesta. Vernal Equinox, who tested positive for COVID. There's been at least, I think, 10 other people, including Kage and Paradox and other such well-known furries, as well as Vernal Equinox has been doing a very good job at retweeting individuals who have been sharing their positive results. So if you go to Vernal Equinox's social media, you will see a lot of these shared tweets about people testing positive. So you also have that from Texas Furry Fiesta. Texas Furry Fiesta hasn't really been sharing it on their social media, but that isn't necessarily anything to do with politics. If you go to Texas Furry Fiesta's social media page, it very much is very technical and very much just announcements for the convention itself, whereas Vernal Equinox, if someone @s Vernal Equinox, they typically retweet pretty readily. You could tell the difference between the two styles of social media maintenance, and it's not any shade on that. But basically, there have been a bunch of people also that have been releasing positive news, or not positive, but news about positive COVID tests. So if you did attend those two conventions, be sure to get tested and to take any due diligence and proper precautions that you need to take in order to protect yourself and those around you, and drink plenty of water and keep your throat and keep healthy. Drink plenty of vitamin C. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a hygiene expert. I made a video about it though. You can wash your hands and sing Die Corona. Hopefully this will be, coronavirus's last swan song, in the hopes that, people make it through fine, and hopefully these people remain well, and hopefully I do think that hopefully most people who went to these conventions were vaccinated, and hopefully that the vaccine helps mitigate some of the more nasty symptoms and keeps people alive, and we'll see what happens from there. So that's the second note. The third note is attendance numbers, which is not the most important thing in the world, but it's the thing I like, or have a hobby, so everyone needs a hobby, right? So we're going to go over that for the last part of this video, and we will expand this window out a little bit here so that we can do this. So I highlighted in yellow updates from last time so that you guys can follow along really easily. And we are going to go over the differences here. Now, the corona recovery percentage has increased quite dramatically. It was around 80% last time. It's gone up to 88.2%. We've had two conventions in the top 8 in this top 8 grouping that have held conventions since this time. I did finally find the numbers for Biggest Little Fur Con. I didn't find them last time, but apparently they did release them on November 13th. They hid them in a tweet, and they hid it in a video in a tweet of an LED screen. So thanks to the person who updated WikiFur with that information and then linked that tweet. These guys like playing scavenger hunts with their freaking attendance rates. I hate it and I love it at the same time. I'm probably just going to go, you know what, I'm going to wait a month after Biggest Little Fur Con and then look for the person who's nerding out and updating that. And then just kind of do that, because I'm boring like that anyways. So there is a big surprise here on this, and that is the Delta. So I will say this: if you go back to the previous video, you'll see what my estimations for these were. They were both off for like 500 attendees, so quite a significant, like it was off by 10%. But as I said, the corona percentage is not going to be very helpful, because things are going to be a little bit erratic as we try to move back into the swing of things. And these aren't really as scientific as I like to think they are. They don't account for a lot of things. They just basically account for like a 1-point delta. Now 2 points with coronavirus as a second variable. So basically, this was actually a lot less than I thought. I thought this was going to be like 5,500 or 5,100 and something, I think was the estimate here, based on the coronavirus percentage. So actually, I think it was this, right? M3 plus J5. J15. Trying to remember how this thing works. M3, which is this one, plus J15, which is this one. All right, so this is pre-COVID. So let's point at pre-COVID stuff. Which I guess is fine. But yeah, so like, anyways, I'm thinking a lot. Shouldn't be thinking a lot, should just be saying things. So basically, we have here 5,110 is the estimate for this year. We'll see how it happens. But we do have an actual number in for Texas Furry Fiesta, which happened this weekend. And this one blew it out of the water. Because this was supposed to be this plus, this was supposed to be this and then minus 70%, 70% of this threshold. And it was supposed to be this times the coronavirus percentage, right? So basically these estimates are supposed to be that times the coronavirus percentage. I think that's why that number's a little weird compared to the others. Yeah, that makes more sense, I guess. I'm still doing it based on coronavirus until that, as I said, until this hits 100% or over 100% or over 100%. I'm going to rely on that being the same. Now, that being said, that's probably going to really push my guesses down. So it's very much possible that what happened to this one happened here. So I can do this really quick and show you what this looked like before. Oop, I guess not. Interesting. This is M4. M5 times ref. I don't understand what happened there. M5 times ref. Oh, I know what happened. This is incorporating that number. Sorry. So troubleshooting of Excel files time. I updated this and highlighted it in yellow because this is updated since last time. And when I updated these two numbers, I updated these formulas to incorporate them. So I can't update these without breaking this. So basically, this is taking this this is taking the summation of pre-coronavirus numbers. It's showing all of them. So it's taking these numbers and these numbers, which I guess is equivalent to those numbers. Basically, we'd be taking these numbers and divide, and then as the denominator, it's taking the before coronavirus numbers, and as the numerator, it's taking the post-coronavirus numbers, and that's giving us a percentage of recovery. But Texas Furry Fiesta becomes the first one to have a higher attendance rate post-coronavirus, which I guess is a significant news story, so I should probably, if I'm going to write a news story about it, then that would be what the headline would be, is that Furry Fiesta is basically the first convention after coronavirus to have a higher attendance rate than it did pre-coronavirus. Because there's been 4 of them so far, or at least in these numbers, right? At least in the top 8. I don't know if it might be the case that a convention that was not here. Actually, you know what the first convention would be? It would be Sin City MurCon, which had its first convention this year and probably its last, if you watched the previous video. But basically, of the established conventions, this is the first one to show signs that we're recovering from it. And so here we have that. And this new 88.2 percentage is having an effect on all these other, oops, don't want that, and all these other numbers, right? All these other estimates. Now, all these other estimates are still less than the original thing. Now that we're starting to see a breakthrough here. But that basically, as I said, I'm going to be conservative with these numbers until this number gets above 100%. So once this recovery percentage hits above 100%, I'll be more liberal with it and start to revert back to the delta, using this delta table down here to signify those kind of things. So long and the short, We're going to move this over here. I'm going to have to edit that. Excuse me. Anyway, so what you can see here is that obviously 2018, 2019, growth started to kind of slow down for some of the big wigs up here. But as we go down, so now we're in 2022, a lot of the estimates here are still only estimates. Anthrocon hasn't had their first convention back. We have an estimate of 8,302. Biggest Little Fur Con, we have an estimate of 4,221. So an interesting thing happens this year based upon these estimates, which you can't read too much into these things so far, is that basically of the top conventions, it looks like Texas Furry Fiesta, but the Texas Furry Fiesta number is official now. It is actually a pretty strong contender for basically dethroning Biggest Little Fur Con from the number 3 slot, and also taking on Furry Weekend Atlanta. Excuse me again. Hopefully, I didn't go to any conventions this weekend, so I should not have the Rona, okay? I just have a dry throat. All right, that's famous last words. So basically, we have Texas Furry Fiesta. Might be the number 3 furry convention. Not only is it the first convention back for a long time, it is now sort of secured number 3. It hasn't secured it yet because it's this year and these other conventions haven't had a chance. It's the only convention that's gone so far this year. So other conventions could basically come through and basically take their spot back. Particularly Biggest Little Fur Con or Furry Week in Atlanta could get a boost in numbers. Particularly Furry Week in Atlanta, because you have to remember that this is based on that. So if we're beyond Corona at this point, Furry Week in Atlanta is still bigger than Texas Furry Week in Atlanta. But I would say even in the conservative estimate here, I think that Furry Week in Atlanta is going to beat out Biggest Little Fur Con this year. It was moving in that direction anyway prior to the convention. If you were to watch Biggest Little Fur Con, so if you were to watch the Biggest Little Fur Con numbers against, where is it? Freaking heck. Furry Week in Atlanta is the orange line, and the red line is that. So even before coronavirus, they were getting pretty close. They were there, and then they surpassed them, and then they've been running neck and neck, pretty parallel. And maybe this coronavirus thing will be the thing that sort of turns the table. Though the table might have turned even without coronavirus. As a lot of people have noted, coronavirus has just sort of accelerated things that appeared to be happening anyway. So we'll see you guys in 3 months. I guess we'll do we'll do this every 3 months or so, and see if there's any updates. I don't know if there's any major conventions in the next 3 months in April, May, or June. I think January and March typically have some major ones, but not really. We don't really get any really major ones until the summertime. So I'll wait and see. I don't think any of these major ones occur during the spring. So if that's the case, then obviously we won't do one in June, but we will do one in 6 months from now, which would be in August, and have an update for this kind of a thing. I think that's the best way we can go about it for now. But anyways, that should wrap it up for this video. Sorry, it was a bit rambly at the end there, but usually when I get into statistics, I have to kind of ramble a little bit about the numbers. Because, numbers are kind of weird and wonky sometimes when you're trying to move the clay around, especially when you have additional variables you have to worry about. But at least you get to see how the omelet is made, and I think some people appreciate that. But thank you guys very much for watching, and stay with those who stayed this long. Kick that like, kick a subscribe button, kick a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you know of any news about conventions this year, about postponements and cancellations, that we can update that item on our website. And we will see you guys for our next video. Thank you very much. Have a good one.